All right, well, it is 3:15, everyone. So welcome to this afternoon's Adelaide Office 365 user group. My name is Daniel Brown. Oh, we got Warwick coming in. There we go. My name is Daniel Brown. You've probably seen me on various social media outlets, in your email, in your inbox, blasting about the Adelaide Office 365 user group and the presenter we're here to have today. It is spring, everyone. So, woohoo, yay! Much anticipated. So hopefully we're looking for a bit more warmer weather, but we'll see how we go from there. So at least it's spring. As I said, my name's Daniel Brown. I've been running the Adelaide Sharepoint user group. Back in the day, 2019. That's a bit wrong. And it eventually evolved into the Adelaide Office 365 user group, and here we are today. So a bit of background on the user group. We meet on the third Tuesday of each month, February through to November, with a few other sessions in between, at least scheduled for next year. We're always looking for local speakers, so please feel free if you've got a session or a cool idea or a bit of SharePoint technology or forms or Power Automate, let us know and we can certainly cater for it. Always keen to just show something that someone's been built or had a requirement for and use the technology to do it, and we're happy to showcase it. So we cover pretty much, as I said, everything connected to the 365 platform, Office 365, Power Apps, Power BI, the whole Power Stack, obviously SharePoint, OneDrive, but also, sort of the topics connected to them. So we're just not a technology focused group. We do also cater for, business topics and how to sort of integrate business process management and various other topics into or how to leverage the technology, sorry. And we also have occasional sales topics, development topics, industry topics, and community topics, of course. And we're also going to be having some deep dive sessions next year. We are somewhat connected with the Australian Computer Society. For those members who are there, the branch executive committee, call for nominations has been open. So that's for the new branch executive committee. And we also, work in conjunction with the ACS. It is the peak body for the ICT industry in Australia. And sort of professional representation. We've got the code of ethics, and there's also various other forums and events and things that take place. So check out their website. If you are a member, this does account for 1.5 hours of CP hours. Works towards your professional certification. It is SOFA compliant, and it does count towards your personal growth as well. So if you are on there, check out acs.org.au if you're not. It's worthwhile having a look. A little bit of news before we get into our speaker. So I just want to jump into a few key points. If you're still using Internet Explorer 11, it is very vital that you start to think about how you can migrate away from this. Various plugins, toolbars, apps. I'm looking at Explorer View for that. Are not supported with the modern browsers. So the migration path moving forward for these apps is obviously OneDrive for Business, and also to get any updates to extensions or line of business applications that need to be updated. The world's not going to end, but it is going to change eventually. So it's something that people are going to have to be aware of and put it on their roadmap as well. Also, as no surprise to anyone, SharePoint 2010 should be long dead and dusted. Support has finally ended. Thankfully, it was extended during the pandemic just to give us a little bit more grace period. But if you haven't migrated away from Office 2010 or SharePoint 2010, definitely put that on the radar to do as soon as possible. Likewise, with 2013, it is coming up. It's only sort of a year and a half, 2 years away before SharePoint 2013 is going the same way as SharePoint 2016 and 2019. We're still 4 years away from that, but it's something that I would be preparing for sooner rather than later. Don't be holding out to the very last moment to be able to migrate your intranets and contents over to the cloud into M365. If you're unaware of Microsoft Teams, it is integrated with Office 365 and various other technologies within that platform. But it's recently passed 250 million active users per month. Those were the latest stats I had, but that is of last month. So expected to be around there, but that was peak usage. So that's pretty impressive for Microsoft Teams. Also, Windows 11 obviously is here, so it's something that we are coming live to you from today. I'm running Windows 11, but we won't see much of that today, but check it out if you are interested in it. It is becoming more and more Windows 365. So Windows 365 is also here. Pricing has been updated. I just haven't updated the slide, sorry. But that being said, the demand was so much that Microsoft had to cease offering it in the initial stages of the offer. I believe it's back online. If I'm wrong, correct me on that. I don't follow Windows awfully too deep with that. But that being said, Windows 365, as you might expect, is Windows as a service and desktops and everything is being cloud focused. Certainly something definitely to pay attention on. Personally, I think Windows 11 is going to have a big, massive impact on the way we use the internet, integrate with information, use our technology. So it's certainly something that I would definitely be aware of. If you're not looking to adopt now, it should certainly be on the radar. If you still want to cling to the on-prem technology, SharePoint Server Subscription Edition, it is out. This would be the equivalent of the next version of SharePoint. It is the next version of SharePoint, but it is very much one of the last versions of SharePoint 2. It is moving pretty much to be on cloud. This has been on the roadmap for quite some time in terms of the life cycle of SharePoint and the related technology, the focus obviously being on the 365 product stack. Roadmap, always check it out, see what's coming up. Various changes, bits and bobs. You've also got your admin roadmaps as well to have a look at, various changes and feature requests and all that can also be submitted. Also got the blog to stay up to date with most latest technology and announcements coming out through the Microsoft channels. Microsoft Press discounts, we've still got those available. Grab a screenshot, those user discount codes are valid and they do work. If they don't, let me know and I'll bug the team. Meeting lineup for the rest of 2021. We've got Andrew next month, who's presenting on what's new in Dynamics with the Power Platform on Wave 2, which we'll have a few more bits about. We've also got a deep dive session with Microsoft Graph with Cameron presenting it. So that's a bit more technical, deep dive, developer focused. In November, we're being actually really great to be able to get Dan Holmes from Microsoft. He's one of the lead product managers handling a whole bunch of technologies. So that's going to be fantastic. And December, we've also got Sandra from Microsoft Adelaide presenting around some insights around Microsoft Teams and things like that. Because we do meet on the third Tuesday of each month, we're not going to do that in December because that's just not going to make sense. No one's got time for that. So we're going to try and make it probably in the first week. So I'm just going to confirm a date with Sandra and then I'll update the newsletter and get everyone out. For 2022, we do have a pretty packed lineup as well, but like I said, we're always happy to take speakers. I can adjust and cater for local speakers who want to showcase some local technology. February, we've actually got Pen Lewin from Microsoft presenting, which is going to be a fantastic session. But at this stage, we've still got October, November, and early December free, but we do have some room to move in that lineup. Obviously, as sessions come up and the details get forwarded to me, I will be updating the slides and the early registration pages to cover it. There are still local user groups operating around Adelaide. We've got various user groups around. We've got .NET, data analytics, Power BI, various other groups that are operating. So please, don't think because of the pandemic we're not. We are still going as much as we can. We've been going pretty much virtually since the pandemic sort of really kicked in, and it's something that we'll still kick with just for now. Once we go back to in person, we'll see what how we can do that and all that sort of stuff moving forward. That being said, the Australian Computer Society does also have other user groups, but they call them special interest groups. IT, project management, knowledge management, and a few other ones as well. So do check out their websites. Just a quick note on next month's meeting, or this month's, sorry, next month. Sorry, that should say this month's user group meeting. Whoops. Sorry, just 1 second on that. Yep, cool. Ignore that slide. That's my mistake. Social media accounts. So we've got Facebook, LinkedIn, are our two main ones that we do use. So if you feel free to follow us there. We've got the pages, we've got the group. You'll see me posting on both of them. So with that, we've got Ashish Padhy, who's decided to, or graciously decided to come back and present to the user group. We've had Ashish present a few times before. I don't think we've had you in person though, have we?
No,
No,
not
I
yet.
don't think not yet.
Yeah.
But we've had a long relationship with him, and it's great to have him back. I won't introduce too much more. I don't want to take up too much more time. I want to get into the presentation of the technology. So I will leave it over to Ashish to introduce himself and to present Microsoft Viva and the concept and practical business approach.
Good man.
So
Thank
I
you.
will swap over.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And it has been great uh, to come here and present to the group again. Oops. That's a little bit about me. I'm not saying that I was to do that right away. Let's see how it goes. Okay. Yeah. So a little bit about myself. Well, I have been in the industry for 15 plus years. Love to talk about tech, not only Microsoft as such. Been trying to delve in as much as I can, and like different technologies. AI is my current focus. A lot of things and events happening around there. So I'm trying to keep myself up to date with AI stuff, but saying that I am a Microsoft focused person. So I do work in M365 Azure AI and a lot of other things, peripheral around it. So that's a little bit about me. So today what we are going to talk about, and with the title slide which I skipped, is about Microsoft Viva and a little bit of the practical approach about looking at Microsoft. Saying that Microsoft Viva have been uh, there for a few months, but it's pretty new. So I know a lot of people out there are still trying to get their head around what is Microsoft Viva, how do we get onto it, and how do we use it, and is it something really beneficial, providing there is additional licensing cost on it. Now, having said that, please feel free to stop me at any time during the presentation if you have got questions, thoughts, doubts on the things that I'm talking about. Please feel free to stop and ask those points. But otherwise, I think we will have a Q&A at the end anyways. So just a brief agenda for today. We'll look at Viva high level, Viva modules. And again, I'm just going from a level 100 or a starter level of introduction so that at least who are not aware, they can get an aware. And as we are looking at each one of those modules, I will do a demo and also go a little bit in depth on how you actually make it useful. The approach, and then how you can keep growing in the space of momentum. Cool. Now, further ado, let's talk about how we look at our current day-to-day life in a daily fashion. So every day, the first point is every day we actually go about doing the same thing again, and we are thinking like, oh, we should be done by the end of the day. No, actually, we got a lot of things piling up on us every time, and it just keeps piling up. So we just like have always this burden of data, information, corporate knowledge on us. And how do we get around it is something that at least you have to stay in the company for 10 years, I think, or you have to find a magic genie out there. But hopefully Viva is that magic genie. Now, the next point, what am I looking for? I'm looking for something important that I want to find, and I always have a hard time finding it and hard time getting to that information. Now, this is not new. This has been there forever. It has been a problem that every time we face. But I think Microsoft is kind of spinning the wheel again and again and trying to find the right match. And Viva is the next bit in that space. Now, again, at the same point, just because we have too much information coming to us at different points, it's just hard for us to keep track of what we are actually looking for. So because we just have too much information going in, we don't have information about where we are, what are we doing, where are we going to, we just lost track. So it's very important to have a track of information that you're working with, and hopefully the next bit of technology that we are going to talk about is going to help us. So what's the solution to all of this? Is we all know about employee experience or user experience, and this has been in talks forever. But I think the next spin that Microsoft has taken in is actually bundle them all together and call as like a employee experience platform, but also smart in that space. So hopefully this idea works, right? And I'm pretty sure it will work. So So what is Microsoft Viva? It is an intelligent and integrated workplace platform with focus on 4 key things. Okay, it's not that it focuses on everything. It's not building a solution for all the bits that you look out there. It is focusing on 4 key areas. One is knowledge and expertise in the company, in a corporate environment. Culture and communications, which is key in a lot of bits, like how you grow your company. Culture and communications are important. Then productivity and well-being, and especially this has become really important considering the remote work environment we live in. We work endlessly throughout the day just because we are remote and we are just it seems like pretty much available every time. So productivity and well-being is hampering, and growth. Obviously, that one key thing is always missing, right? Like you keep building on things, but how do you grow also at the same time? So these are 4 key areas, and then 4 different modules actually address to each one of it. So let's look at those 4 different modules. So that is Viva Topics, which is the knowledge piece of it. Viva Connections, which is the culture and the connections bit of it. Viva Learning, which is your learning and growth, and Viva Insights, which actually focus on your productivity and well-being and all the other aspects around it. So these are the 4 different Viva modules that are coming in package when you talk about Viva. So it's not, well, there are individual modules you can talk about, but this is what you mean when you talk about Microsoft Viva or employee experience platform. Now let's talk a little bit about Viva Topics, or the knowledge and expertise part of it. Now, what I'm not going to do is not going to talk about again how Viva Topics overall makes sense, right? What I'm going to talk about is different elements of it and how do you go about in the practical approach, how do you go about implementing it in your environment, and what are the steps around it. So thinking about how do you take Viva Topics in its nation state and actually make it useful for your organization. So that's the key bit that we are going to talk about today. And obviously the demos are going to focus a little bit on the staff part of it, but also a little bit on more details. Cool. So this is what Viva Topics is all about. It's ever-growing corporate knowledge base. So it's not some information that is just sitting out there in somebody's library or somebody's OneDrive, or someone like the whole Teams library or someone's OneDrive. It's actually a growing knowledge base with the information located at the same place. It is working on the available corporate information, so it's nothing new. It's what is there already, but in a specific phase, and we'll talk about the specific phase. Now, the missing bit in all of the pieces like search have been there forever. Microsoft Search has been there forever. Well, SharePoint Search and then Microsoft Search has been there forever. The new piece that it is bringing in is SMEs. It's also now bringing the people element into the knowledge base. So it's not only the content, but it's also the people surrounding it, which we call as community of practice. Now, again, on that aspect of it, the Microsoft also understands that the data doesn't sit into one location, not SharePoint only or Teams only. The data is spread out in different locations. So finally, they have, and it was always there with the line of business connectors in SharePoint, which kind of lost when it came to online. Then they brought in the graph connectors, but people find hard to use it. So now with topics, I think it will become more useful, where you can get data more easily, effectively, and integrate with those line of business systems. Also, at the same point, what we are talking about is how the data is actually getting updated in continuously. Like it's not only about one snapshot of the data, but also the growth around the knowledge. Okay. Now, some of the key terms, now these are very technical terms that I'm going to mention, but it is very key to understand those terms because that kind of is the step of implementing. Now we saw all that benefit that I talked about, the corporate knowledge base, growing that corporate knowledge base, bringing in SME, connecting it to your third-party systems. But this is all not going to work unless you understand the different elements of it, and not just the technical, but the business technical elements of it, or the functional technical elements of it. So these are the 4 parts of those technical elements. First is topics discovery, which means that even though the knowledge sits at one place, it's not something that you can actually, rudimentarily say that is useful for you. So you need something to discover that information, and that's the AI part. Is like it goes about cross the data in your environment and finds those terms or topics that people talk about, people mention about information, and then connects them together, which is called topics discovery. Okay, and roughly it can take any amount of time depending on the scale of environment that you have. But saying that, this is one main question that I always get: do I need to let it run Or do I need massive amount of data to make it work? No, you don't need that massive amount of data to work. It will be helpful to have that massive amount of data because you can then tie them up together. But if you don't have it, don't worry about it. Don't sweat about it. Whatever you have will be enough for this. Then you have topic pages, which actually connects them all together, and it's just the content if those topics that are coming through. So this can be something as a starting point. If you have less amount of data and you want to say like these are the 5 topics that I want my users to find, you can still curate the data as you build it. Okay. Then you have knowledge management as part of it. Now the topics and the topic pages are all good in the sense of it, but it will not work unless you have people who can actually, as we talked about the people component of it, and we don't have people who can validate that information, make sure that is correct, and actually make it surfaceable in the right format. So the knowledge management roles are critical to it. So one part is gathering all that information, which is topic discovery, and creating those pages, which is topic pages. Then the other part of it is the people part, which is the knowledge management role, where people are coming in and filtering the data out. Because once you crawl the data, and I'll show you in the demo very soon, you will get massive amount of topics. And not all is relevant, right? So you need people to actually go and look at it and say, these 5 are valid, these are not valid. Okay. So you need somebody to manage it. And finally, the topics card, which actually brings the data to the users. So you got the creation and the management part of it, and topics card is the end user view of it. So where the data is actually surfaceable to those users. And we'll see all of that in the demo very soon. But these are the key elements that we need to understand when you talk about topics, Viva topics as such, and the work related to it. Cool. So let's go to the next one. Now, how do you do it right? Okay, so this is the key element. So we talked about the different elements and the benefits, the different components of it. Now, how do you go about doing? And this is just from my personal experience of doing it with few of the other organizations, and how do we got it across? So these are the key elements that you might need to focus on. So first of all is to identify the right people. So if you don't have the right people supporting your topics knowledge base, you will never get to that point. You will just see a massive amount of sprawl of data coming in, and nobody knows what's the right. Saying that you can always have one or many knowledge managers. It doesn't need to be a single person. It could be knowledge managers per group, per team. But you need those people who can actually go and understand this is finance, this is corporate, this is legal, this is HR, and then they can filter the data out. Okay, then you need to find the early adopters. So you need to have a few set of information like topics identified to the right user group to gain that momentum. Don't go full-fledged because it doesn't work. It just becomes too much of a hassle to manage because that's just too much over intake into the organization. Find your early adopters, and which would be HR. I have found HR, your communication marketing, because those people always had that thing about teaching people about terms. Or if you have a internal business organization which actually talks about the business delivery part of it, let them also get onboarded as a layer, because they actually have that information uh, uh, pitfall. Like they don't have a right set of people around who can actually go and help people every time to find the right data. So getting them onboarded will really help. And one key thing, sorry, I forgot to mention about topics is it's not about finding the information, it's about information coming to you. Every time we have been like in the mode of going and searching for data. Every time we need something, we go for search it. But it is the other way around with Viva Topics now. Viva Topics actually surface the information in a day-to-day collaboration tool, like your Teams, like your Sharepoint site. So it's not that you have to go and search for data, you actually get the data in place, and we'll see that in the demo. Then you need effective change and adopting piece. Now, this is not a if, I would say this is a must. Okay, now even though it's always a if with a post around it, but I would say you need a change and adoption piece supporting it, because otherwise you'll just have a like massive question Q&A thing with all your users, like what's happening, what is this thing, what do I do with it? So all those things. So you need a change and adoption piece to help. Then what you need to do is have the data, but also have community of practice built within those groups to have shared ownership, so it doesn't become an overload on IT or any other like HR. Or you don't need a single person like intranet. You don't need a single team to own it. You can actually spread that load across multiple teams, and that's how you will actually win the topics, growth part of it or the adoption part of it. And finally, think about the other platforms that you want to create. If you don't think about other platforms, you're not going to get the benefit of it. It's going to sit in SharePoint, it's going to sit in the same pace, and people will say it's a search works for me. That's it. Okay, so if you want to really make a benefit of it, obviously it's very limited right now with graph connectors being very limited. Think about though is how do you get that corporate knowledge base, corporate wiki, corporate systems like file shares, local file shares into this Viva topics. Now we look at slight different because with the third-party systems versus what the topics curation engine uses, but at least you get the benefit of using it. These are the three things which I just talked about in different elements of it: prepare, publish, and use. Okay, so these are the three high-level points. We first prepare your identify a topic center, set up the topic center, identify knowledge managers, identify the sites, create your exclusion rules, create your pages, then you publish them, identify the SMEs who can pin the content, create the topic relations, because that's one good bit about topics is information as such doesn't make sense. Information in group makes sense. So you can actually say that, okay, one information is related to other set of information. So you can do those relationships in topics and then get to surface the topics in a topics card at a site or somewhere else. Cool. So without further ado, let's look at this in action. Okay, so what's happening here? I think my presentation is there. You go. So this is the demo environment. So I'm just going to use a demo environment to demo you guys. So first of all, you need to set up topics. And now this is the complete IT role. Somebody has to come in and set up topics properly. You need a topics license, and the users who have topic license can use topics. So that's the simple set of answer there. Even though the data can be crawled across everything, people need to have licenses to use the topics part of it. Okay, so you come and discover. So there is a guided setup. So you go through the guided setup, you define the different elements. Once you do that, you get the topic centered. So depending on your environment, I have seen it takes roughly from a day or 2 days. And that's one question. Like people are like, how long it takes? So depend on the different the environment you have and the amount of data you have in it. It could take about a day or two, and for large environments across a week to actually get the data ready for accessibility. Okay, so it will go and do that. And first thing it does, it just creates all this list of topics for you to go and curate and understand which ones are useful for you. So you can just keep looking through it and you'll be like, okay, these are 10,000 things that I have to do. And this is where your knowledge management will become easy, because then you can say, okay, sales, go and filter out your data and see which ones are relevant, which ones are not relevant. HR, go and do yours. IT, go and do yours. So the person who is a knowledge manager will come in and look at it and say, for example, wingtip. Okay, this is something I want. This is a toy. So this is a Contoso brand. Vintage is our toys. Vintage is our brand for toys. So let's go ahead and confirm. So this is the first step the knowledge person manager will do. It'll just go and say confirm. Once they confirm, it comes into the confirm bucket. It obviously takes some time to show up. I don't know why it happens, but even after you confirm, it takes a little bit of a time sometimes to actually show in the confirm bucket, but eventually it comes up. Uh, so yeah, there you go. It comes up after some time. And once it is confirmed, what you need to do is now it's the work. Now this is that tick part is easy. Anybody can do it, right? So that's that's not the only thing. Now the biggest part comes in where you actually go and look at the information and then publish the information to make it available to everyone. Now, one key thing about everybody to know that you need a little bit of SharePoint editing experience. So the little bit of the change and adoption piece I talked about, this is one key thing you need. So somebody who is to understand about how do you go about changing data and adding data. So what you need for now is at least to add in that automatic curated one is I'll just write something as a toy brand. Okay, so you need to do that. Uh, can you guys hear me? Sure. Got an error. Okay. Hello. Okay. You guys can hear me still? Okay. Sorry, I had some issues on my end, I think. Oh no, I think I lost.
Yeah, no, we can hear you. You're coming through loud and clear.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yep. Yeah, mate.
Okay. Sorry. I think I had some issue with my device, so it switched automatically to another one. But okay, cool. So what I was saying is you have to edit it and then you have to put some text there, and you can pin people. Like if you want somebody to be like SME in this space, now that's the people component of it. So you can just pin whoever you are talking about. Let's say, again, I'll just search for somebody and then add them. Now it has also come with a suggested list because it knows that these people talk about it a lot or people reach out to them. Then you can go about pinning any location where the data is. Now I know Fintiv has some data somewhere, but I'll just quickly look if I can find it. If not, then that's fine. Okay, so we'll leave it for now. So there is obviously suggested ones which have come from operations. So there you go. So you can pin files, like you know that these are certain files which actually talk about the product. You can pin them and you can add the sites. Now, as we know that there is operations where the data is. So we can say operations is one site where you will find the data. So the system will actually go and crawl the data from there. And as I was telling earlier, that you can create relations. So this is where you can create the relation. I don't know what happened here. Okay, there you go. Right. Okay, so yes, there you go. And then I can say contour. So you need to have a topic that is already published so that you can create a relation. If you don't have a topics published, it will not create a relation. So to go about publishing everything, like all the topics that you think are valid, and then you can create a relation. So once you are ready, you publish the data. Now this is not readily available. And don't be scared about it, because I've done it so many times and I publish something and it still sits in the confirm. And I'm like, what happened? What is something going wrong? Nothing has gone wrong. It has published. If you try it again, it will say the same thing. Like it has been published now, but it takes roughly a day to, be available to be available published, because I think it does some backend AI stuff to actually, as you see, the publishing has been done, but it just sits there for a bit. So don't worry about it. It will automatically go off once it is done. Okay. Not fan of this Teams presentation thing. It doesn't let me click on things. Now, the other thing is, once it is readily available and curated and accessible, people can go and search for the data directly. So as you guys can see, as an example, I have searched for a topic that was already created. I searched for it and it just put this topic card on the top of it with saying that, okay, you know what, this is maybe something relevant for you. So I can just directly look at data from here. I don't have to scroll pages of data. I can directly look at it. I can click on see more, which will take me to the topics page. But the most important part of it, I have a way of inputting my information. So you can say a knowledge worker and identify win tips as the topics of interest for your organization. Do you think that is valid? In some cases, it will ask you like, do you think this person is actually SME for the topic? So it's actually making it interactive. So you actually have inputs that you can give as a topic user to that. So you can just say yes or no to this. And at the same time, going next. Now, how do you actually surface the data besides search? Now, search is obviously one thing, but it's, again, as I said, like you're not looking for information comes to you. So this is a very good example of it. Now, I've created a topic called contours of electronics. Frankly speaking, I didn't go and tag anything. It just found it automatically on the page and it tagged it. So basically what the topics engine does is goes and find all the terms in SharePoint pages where it means the topics, exact topics word, and it just goes and highlights it. So you basically don't need to do anything. Your topics page already has the data. Users can go ahead and flag on it, and they can go and, you can also say it like, should this be a highlight here if it's wrong, but you can find the resources. So this becomes now very handy. Now you don't have to coach people about going and searching information. People just do their normal day-to-day work and find the data. Now saying that if your users are not only like, okay, you know what, I not getting that, tagging automatically, you can actually go and tag it yourself. So which is your hashtag. So you can say hashtag, you can type the topic's name and it just allows you to tag the data there on a SharePoint page for now. Okay, so you can not in Teams or anything on the SharePoint page, you can hashtag it and it's available to you to just go ahead and use it. Okay, so people can just find the data on the SharePoint pages or wherever they work day in, day out. Okay, cool. And then the final bit around it is about pinning files. So basically, let's say you created some data, but actually there is more information coming in. So this is market I created a long time ago, and more informations are coming in. So what do I pin the data? I can say and go and look at the suggested files with the AI has find and say that actually, you know what, that's the right data. So pinning a file, which you get to do if you are creating a blank topic page, allows you to say that these are the files which have the terms. So this is an input for the AI to go and future relevance to additional data. So the AI doesn't stop once the topic pages are created. It keeps curating the additional data that is coming into the organization. Pinning helps in telling the AI in the right way that this is the right data to look for. Cool. I think I'm going too slow right now. So I need to pump it up a little bit. So cool. So this is all topic pages, all about topics. And I will just show you guys before I finish the topics demo is this is the future way of coming in Teams. So you in Teams, you will get the highlight of the topics and you can click on the topic in the Teams chat. And this is not available yet, but this is something that is coming in the future. Cool. Now let's jump into the next bit of Viva, which is connections. So connections is, so topics was the knowledge and expertise part of it. Connections is something that you are already familiar with your intranet, but it actually brings in that new element of feed and dashboards, which actually allows you to connect data more seamlessly with your organization and different elements within the organization. So Connections is your intranet. It's a curated company branded experience. It's a centralized information hub, which your intranet was always in, but it just makes it more like enforceable now. So you have to have intranet, so you or Sharepoint home, what we call, to actually use Viva Connections. And this is free. So this is all available right away. So it's just the same thing, which was called Sharepoint home, now becomes Viva Connection. But then you get the feed and the dashboard part, which came in public before to be available. So you get discover news and communications very easily, which is your feed. And then you create a customized dashboard, which is accessible in mobile. I think it will be available later half of the year. Cool. Some of the key terms for Viva Connections is you get the Teams app, which is, I think, in public preview, which I have not seen yet, is going to be a Teams app where you can click it. Right now, it's a PowerShell script. So you have to go to the PowerShell script to write that connections logic to post it on your Teams. You have to have a SharePoint home, as I was saying. It just allows you to improve discoverability, because sometimes we always have the issue of where people are finding the internet data from. So they can access it from your Teams very easily. And news and highlights is obviously going to be a big win once it's available on phone and with dashboard. Cool. Now, how to do it right? Now, with Viva Connections, the way to do it right is, if you had a classic or any other intranet way of doing it, you have to give it up. You have to come to the modern intranet. So you have to have a modern intranet to use Viva Connections effectively. And the other important bit of it is to have social communications done. So if you don't have social communications, if you don't have inputs for your feed, then the data is going to be very static. It's just going to be your news highlights or something like that. So if you want to make feed more receptible or your dashboards more receptible, start having your social communications with Yammer or stuff that you can use internally. But I think Yammer is the only platform that Microsoft currently completely supports. Even though they are increasing their span into other environments. Now, then you have to also have a plan to roll out Teams, because Viva Connections is intranet in Teams. Basically, it's like your intranet SharePoint home in Teams. So you have to have a Teams platform rollout or rolled out already, or have a plan to roll out to make effective use of Teams. So that's what you have to plan about. How do you roll out Teams? How do you make your users use Teams more effectively? Then identify the cases that you want to bring the data into your intranet more seamlessly, with which is the dashboard part of it. Now, the dashboard part is uh, slightly devy, but also becoming user friendly with adaptive cards. So you can have adaptive cards actually which can be plugged in very easily. Users can configure, users can build those adaptive cards very easily. So it allows you to create a responsive dashboard that works well in the mobile. Then you have a centralized communication and content ownership is required, because that's the fundamental about your intranet or comms. So you need to have someone who actually validates the communication components, validates the dashboard components as it goes live. So that's the key 4-5 elements that you actually have to concentrate, which is nothing new. This is the same verbiage that we have been talking forever with intranet at home. Just have to make it practical now. So this has to be laid out in stone when you build it. Okay, so these are the dashboard cards that you will see very soon in the demo also, and in your environment if you have enabled your Viva connections. So these are the two views of your dashboard. And this is what you need to prepare the landing page, set up the global nav, which is your SharePoint home, get the connection app script, because it's still a connection app script, but it should be available as an app very soon. then install that app, configure the app because it will point to your landing, and adaptive card, which is upcoming, is already here, is the adaptive card building experience. So let's do the demo on this and we will see how it works. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to be running a slight demo first because it's not readily available in the environment or it's not accessible available to all yet. So this is a demo environment with a kind of conceptual of your Viva connections or Viva connections in the mobile experience. So this is like you have the Viva connections as an endpoint end product when it is available. So that you will have like Viva connections sitting on a phone. You will have the connections dashboard. You will have the dashboard experience where you can see the dashboard cards or your eyes cards sitting here. You can go and click on it. You will be able to create actions. So the adaptive cards are actionable adaptive cards. So they are just not like look at it and throw it. They are like you can click on it and do something with it. So you can have your power apps, your apps that you build or adaptive card SPFX components as part of it. Then you have the feed component, which I was talking about, your feed information that will bring the data to you. So this is like reading data from different places and announcements and stuff from your social, and then bringing all the data together like a Yammer bit all together. So that's the social collaboration becomes very important. Then just going next, this is another way where you can create tasks. Basically, this is a task component that will come in the future. And, there's just basic elements of having learning also involved in it. So, you can have Viva Learning or LinkedIn Learning linked to it. So this is all the different elements of your Viva Connections app in the mobile experience. That's the biggest bit of Viva Connection is the mobile experience of it. Okay, cool. So these are all the connection bits, and you guys have, you have a way of accessing it in the demo environment, but okay, this is all not readily available. So you can just look at it and think, okay, this is how I'm going to use it. But once you're ready, well, currently what you can do is you can go and make your connections app as a part of your team. So this is like your Sharepoint home in Teams. So this is your connection app, which has your global nav built in here. So you can have a global navigation, your dashboard component. I put it on the right. You can put it anywhere else. So this is your dashboard component. And this is a feed, which brings the data from your different feed, and you can like the data and you can, do something with it. So talking about the Viva dashboard, once is this is the dashboard editing experience. So you can have your dashboard editing where you can put a dashboard card, you can add a card, and you get a card designer. You can just now put that, and then you can define how you want to show it, medium, large. Large takes the whole space. You can define the template type. So it just use whatever you feel like, and you can put a link to anywhere, like you can have pages linked to it. If I show here, I can have a page open up. So this is my website linked onto the dashboard app. I can have a power app also linked, like this is a power app linked to a dashboard. So I can have a new employee form directly linked onto the dashboard. So basically the dashboard allows you to just connect to different resources at one place. So that's what the dashboard does. So you can just create a dashboard here, put it on your home page, like edit the home page and put it here. Which is, oh, sorry, one thing I forgot is the home site. You used to write PowerShell scripts to do that, but if you have not noticed, is on the admin center now you have a place to set the home site directly. So you can just come here, settings, SharePoint home site, directly set it up here. You don't need to write a PowerShell scripts anymore. So hopefully PowerShell will be going away with a lot of this that we are doing. Okay, so this is another bit of it. So the Viva Connections app allows you to actually build in that element together. Now, obviously, for the devs out there, there is a SPFX component of it. So this is the SPF solution, and you can just, this is like normal SPF. There are few elements and comms about how do you work with the card views and stuff, which is adaptive card format. So you have to work a little bit with the adaptive card format, but very easy to build. Once you build it, you deploy like normal SPFX, and this is an example SPFX card, which I was trying to do the calendar bit, but I do not get the time. But this is a custom bit that has been published, and you can add, like when I edit it, you can, once you deploy it, by default, Microsoft has only two available, which is WebLink and Card Designer. But once you deploy your custom ACE cards, they will come here. Cool. I think that's all from Viva Connections. So dashboard and the dashboard editing experience and the feed and your home is what we are looking for.
Are you finished, Ashish? Is that the end of your presentation, or is that you still got more to go?
I got more to go. How much time we have, or I have used all my time?
No, we still got a few more minutes. I mean, if everyone's still happy to go for a few more minutes, happy to as well.
Okay. Sorry. I think I took so much time with the Viva Connections bit.
No,
Viva Topics bit. Yeah, I have two more things, Viva Insights and Viva Learning. Again, it will be very quick. I will try to keep it quick. So Viva Insights, again, this is nothing new. I think if you have seen personal insight, that's one key element, but then there's manager and leader insights, which is work part of your workplace analytics or workplace, which was the workplace analytics component that has becoming manager and leader insights as part of it, which allows you to have more bits than personal insights. Even the personal insights is taking a little bit of a spin. So let's look at as action very quickly. And again, not available, not available or accessible right now, but very soon. So again, got some working demos where you can just go ahead and add a connection web part. It allows you to define learning. So you can define that learning component as you build it. You can select the learning bits for your users, and then now the usage part of it, again, I'm not saying anything around it because frankly I've not deployed it once even, so I cannot say. But the best way I say of using learning is to connect to your third-party resources like your plural sites, like your SAP Learning or anything that you have external, or LinkedIn Learning, which you could not bring to your team's environment earlier, is now very easy to Viva Learning to bring all of that together and then create a learning plan for your users where you can just have them added as part of the learning plan and track it. That's the key benefit of Viva Learning. So if you are going to use Viva Learning, that's the scope that you are looking for as you start looking towards implementing Viva Learning. And I think there is a little bit of license cost with it, but I think it will be worthwhile if you are actually going to get the benefit of tracking that data as you look at the learning paths with your users, and especially the managers who are having a hard time tracking where the users are with learning. Cool. Now just going next bit, the Viva Insights. Not going back to my presentation, I'll just walk through this. The Viva Insight base obviously starts with your personal insights, which you get Viva Insights are available now. You can go and add it. The best part is you actually now have a way of tracking your history. Like you can say, am I feeling like people have implemented third-party apps for it? You don't need to do that. You can just get insights and you can track the person's experience about how they are feeling every day. Okay, so you just do that and you can set reminders. The person can set reminders themselves. You can define praise directly, which you can do in Teams anyways. Just brings it all together nicely in a one place. And then you have, the one quick bit that if I could show very quickly is once this praise one goes out, is your leader insights. Now, this is the bit that you actually bring the data together. Like people have been working on personal insights or the mails and teams. This is all going to be coming together in this nice dashboard, which is part of workplace insights earlier, or ways of working or workplace component. But with this licensing bit, you can all cut together where you can see how people are performing, how are they their well-being, are they productive, are they working too much, are they burning out. So all those different data sets can all now come together seamlessly for the leader to look at, and managers to actually create a collaboration plan with the users where you can define like, okay, you know what, this is the best way as a team we should work, and that's going to be effective and that improves your productivity. Well, now quickly coming to my deck again. So we were learning, we just looked at it very easily. So that's the third party bit. Now the key points that if I overall can summarize is upgrade your SharePoint intranet, educate your end users, change the managers and leaders to start planning goals for a work experience, review your corporate knowledge base and create the topics around it, because that's obviously a little bit of a work, and take help from as many you can find, right? As many people you can find, and share your learning plans with your team. So these are key points, if I can say, the outline summary about what Viva can do for you. These are the high level points around it. Now, these are all few links. I think I will be able to share the deck later on, which will be available on my site, and give the link to Dan. But once you go there, these are helpful links, and Microsoft Mechanics is really helpful. If you have not looked at it, look at it because there are some good demos there. and then you can look at that. So this is all from me. Sorry, I had to speed through the last bit very fast, but hopefully you guys get the gist of it. And thanks for joining for today.
Thank you very much. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to unmute and ask away. I'm sure Ashish is more than happy to answer anything he's able to. Sorry, just swallowed air wrong way. Viva is certainly going to be a bit of a game changer, in my opinion. I think it's going to be quite interesting once we get there, I think.
Yeah.
All right. If no one's got any questions, we'll wrap up. Just on that note, so thank you very much, Ashish, for your presentation. It's been a great pleasure. It's actually been quite good and in depth. I've got some more knowledge out of Microsoft Viva for it. One question I did have was, would you recommend staging your deployment of the topics and everything that takes that time to build up? So rather than sort of do that, mid-project after you get that would be sort of high on the priority list to get done early rather than later.
I would say it will be good to talk about it at least. So even though you're doing something with your client, at least put that thing in place, because talking about it early will help. Stage, so information architecture is one key thing. So if you don't have a proper information architecture, your data is just spread out everywhere.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the benefit of topics right away. So it's good. It doesn't mean tagging. You don't need to tag. You can obviously tag, and Sharepoint syntax can help with it. But saying that it's not about tagging, it's about finding the data at the right place, because your SMEs are linked to it, because that's how topics relates, because your data is there, a person is talking about it, a person is sharing it, and that's how Viva Topics builds those connections internally. So having a proper, at least environment to look forward for your discovery would be key. So having that plan as you build that structure will help to make best use of topics.
Yep. No, fantastic. Any final questions? We'll wrap it up. So just thank you again for your presentation. For everyone else, thank you very much again for joining today's session. Next month, registration is up and available. I'm just checking if there's any questions. No. Is on Microsoft Dynamics 365 with Andrew presenting what's new in D365 and Power Platform 2021 Release Wave 2, which has been taking place, and it's very interesting, very exciting. So registration is up and available. I'll be doing the newsletter shortly, getting that out early, and you'll be probably no doubt bombarded by me on social media and in your inbox advertising Andrew's session. We also have early bird or super early bird registration available for our November session with Dan, who is the official spiel down there, the principal product manager lead at Microsoft, heads up SharePoint, OneDrive, Yammer, Stream, Search, Syntax, Cortex, and live events in 365. So that's going to be a whole bunch of goodies from Ignite. So that's why we've got him in that session. So putting the word out early. This will be direct from Seattle feed, so we're just trying to work out the times. But it would be well and truly, if you're into or getting into these technologies or starting to think about or explore them, get to the session with Dan as well. On that note, thank you everyone for today's session. As you know, we have recorded this session. I'll put it up in the next 24 hours on YouTube and let everyone know of the URL. We'll also get the slide deck URL as well and include that in the newsletter. If you do have any final questions, please feel free to ask them. But other than that, thank you very much for joining today's Adelaide Office 365 user group. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.